Monday, the way they were able to defend well and do so without fouling was very impressive. So big props to the Trailblazers. Tip-off is coming up from Moda Center at 7 o'clock. Chris Burkhart will be by for game day at 5 live from Moda Center. And then the Trailblazers, after tonight, will get Thursday, Friday, Saturday off, 3 days to prepare for the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, who are going to be here on Sunday afternoon for a family fun day here at Moda Center. And I'm going to talk with Maggie Finn of the Trailblazers coming up here in about 15 minutes on the family fun days, which are a great way for you to get out and celebrate here with the family. Also, Sean Highkin from Rose Garden Report, our Trailblazer Insider, is going to join me here from Moda Center coming up at 4:20. We'll get his take on the NBA Cup. We'll get his latest thoughts on the injuries and when guys are going to start popping back into the lineup. And there you have it. But most importantly, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. I hope that wherever you're going to be, whether it be with friends or family, your loved ones, that you have a wonderful day of food and maybe some football, but more importantly, just spending time with the people that you care most about. I got an update on my brother. For those of you who don't know, my brother Chris, who is 3 years older than I am, is suffering right now from cancer, and it's taking over his body. He lives in Georgia. My parents are there right now. His son, who is 16, is there with him right now, and the cancer is slowly squeezing the life out of him. And so I'm going to take a red eye out on Monday early, and I'm going to go and be with my brother and spend time with my parents and basically have the opportunity to say goodbye to him. And, you know, I was talking about this over the last couple of days on the show. It's like, what do you say to somebody who is in the final moments? What can you say? And I just came to the understanding that there's nothing I can say. I mean, but what I can do is I can be there, I can tell him I love him, and just get a chance to be with him and spend time with him. And it'll be the first time that my mom and dad and I, along with my brother, have been in the same place. I don't even remember the last time. You know, my brother went into the military right after high school and then has been living and working in other parts of the country. So we just haven't been around or had an opportunity to spend a lot of time together. So that's the plan. I'm going to go and just spend time with my brother. He was put on hospice today, and the nurse who saw him yesterday doesn't think he's going to last, maybe a couple of more weeks. It's hard to say, but, he's continuing to lose weight. And I talked to my mom this morning, and this is why, screw cancer, by the way. Screw cancer. I hate it. I think everyone hates it, and I just hate the fact that, we spent so much money and research and resources into trying to come up with a cure for that asinine disease, and yet it's still destroying people. I hate that. Well, I was talking to my mom this morning, and he said that, when my dad came in to talk to my brother this morning, he did not recognize my dad. He didn't recognize his dad. And he looked at my mom and said, "Who is that?" And my mom said, "Who do you think it is?" And my brother's response was, "The guy on the popcorn box." Like, my brother thought my dad was Orville Redenbacher, for crying out loud. And my dad doesn't look like Orville Redenbacher. And maybe he likes the brand of popcorn, but he does not look like him. And so I don't know if it was just the disease or the medication or what's going on, but definitely some hallucinating going on. So I just hope that, when I get there, one, that he's still alive, and two, that there's able to be some type of recognition. But that's the latest. That's the update. And I'm not trying to bring you down. I'm just telling you that's exactly what's going on. And that's the latest report from my mom. And so I think that's, the other part that's sad, other than, my brother only being 53, is, it's the unnatural process of parents having to watch one of their children pass. That's not a good thing. None of us desire that. No parents want to be in that type of position. It's awful. And to see the type of suffering as well. But, man, screw it. Cancer can kiss my ass. That's my take on that. Horrible. I told you I went to a cancer ward once over at Legacy. I think it was Randall's. You think until you see it with your own eyes, and you're like, oh, my God. It's so much worse than I thought, and I knew it was really bad. So, anywho, that's the latest there, and so I'll be heading out on Monday to do that. But you can reach out to me on the Rip City Radio text line, 88528. 88528. I'm really pumped about these football games tomorrow. I think we have a good slate of games. Well, we have a good first couple of games. The interesting part about the Packers playing in Detroit against the Lions, you remember Green Bay's best game of the year was the opener where they hosted Detroit and they hammered them and looked terrific. And ever since then, they've been trying to rediscover that magic. You know, the Packers this year are more of a defensive team than they are an offensive team, and we keep waiting for Jordan Love and his receivers and the run game and, you know, Matt LaFleur to figure it all out, but they continue to struggle on offense. They haven't been able to click, but their defense has been great. And we saw that last week against Minnesota. Now, Detroit, on the other hand, they've been ravaged by injuries. They're a very good offensive team. Jared Goff, especially in that dome, can be highly productive. But the offensive line has had issues. Teams have been able to get him off his spot. And Jared Goff, like most quarterbacks, when you force him off his platform and get him uncomfortable, he can make bad throws, errant passes. And the Detroit defense, because of their injuries, are giving up a lot of yards. But that game's critical because whoever loses that game is going to have a very difficult path moving forward in that NFC playoff picture, especially if the Lions lose, because they've already dropped one game to the Packers. You don't want to get swept. So that's going to be a terrific football game with desperation. Now, game number 2 is, well, I can't wait to watch it. You know, you get Kansas City coming off the come-from-behind victory over the Colts, playing at Dallas, who are coming off that 24 unanswered points against the Philadelphia Eagles in that incredible win on Sunday. So the Cowboys are surging a bit with wins over the Raiders and the Eagles, while the Chiefs right now are hovering just over 500 on the outside looking in the AFC West, but obviously with their upcoming schedule, still in a great position to become an AFC wild card. Now, I came across this stat, which is pretty amazing. In fact, it's really amazing. For you individuals out there that like to partake in a little side action with some of these NFL games, on Thanksgiving Day since 2004, it's either 2004 or 2001. I think it's 04. The favorites are 51-9 straight up. 51-9 straight up on Thanksgiving game days in the last 60, and they're 40-20 against the spread. So the favorites, for whatever reason, have been dominant over the last 20-plus years on Thanksgiving. Favorites on Thanksgiving, 51-9 straight up. They are 40-20 against the spread. So just keep that in mind as you get ready for the games and the action that's coming up tomorrow. Now, for college football, this, of course, is rivalry weekend, and the Oregon Ducks are going to finish out their year in Seattle. I'm a little bit curious as to why they're only a 6.5-point favorite, but it's very simple for Oregon, and we've known this ever since they lost to Indiana. Handle your business, and you have no issue getting into the playoff. If they lose to Washington, it gets a little more dicey, but I still think they'd probably be in. But if you beat Washington, you're in, no problem, and you can get ready for the postseason. Get ready for the playoff, get ready for the postseason, and start your run for a championship. And with the Huskies, obviously, in a rivalry game, and two schools that clearly hate one another, if you could do anything to disturb the Ducks' pathway to the playoff, you know Husky fans would love that so much, especially coming off that situation a couple of years ago where they beat them not once but twice in the same season, once in the regular season and then the second time which was the Pac-12 title game at the time, and now both teams are in the Big Ten, which is wild. So that's what's coming up. A lot of great games. NFL, we're now in the nitty-gritty end of the season with all these games now starting to really matter. And, oh, by the way, for all those morons, I want to hammer this point home again because it just goes to show you that you can't believe a word that these old losers who have been controlling college football for years have been selling us on all this nonsense, right? These same morons that gave us all these crappy ideas on how to run a national championship with the BCS, and before we didn't even have a way to get the two teams who were the best teams in a championship game because of the bowl alliances. And then they tried to tell us that, we can't do a playoff. It's not going to work with the schedule. Now look, we have an expanded playoff, and it's awesome. And then, of course, you have people whine because they're like, what about the regular season? It's going to water down the games. It did the exact opposite. For example, look at what we have coming up on Friday and into Saturday. 9 a.m. on Friday. Number 7, Ole Miss is at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has a chance to ruin Ole Miss. Ole Miss is playing for a playoff. Game number 2 at 9 on ESPN. Number 13, Utah is at Kansas. That game has playoff implications because Utah is still trying to work their way into the Big 12 title game and have a shot at the playoff. In the next game, number 4, Georgia's at Georgia Tech. Both teams are ranked. That game has playoff implications as the Bulldogs are looking to secure their spot. Number 2, Indiana's in action. They are really in a good spot right now at 11-0, 8-0 in the Big Ten. They're at Purdue. Texas A&M is at Texas. That's a fifth game with playoff implications. And then you have another game on Friday, Arizona at Arizona State. Arizona State still has a pathway to the Big 12 title game, which would give them access to the playoff. That is 6 games alone on Friday that have playoff implications. And it's the final weekend of the regular season. Just like last year, we're getting the same thing this year. The expanded playoff has not hurt the game. It's made it a lot better. And we're going to have more campus site games. How good is that, by the way? Love it so much. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. Hit me up on the Rip City Radio text line. I will read your text, 88528. 88528. Sean Highkin's coming up at 4:20. When we come back, Maggie Finn's going to join me, and we're going to break down the Trailblazers Sunday Family Fun Days and what that means for you. You know, the Trailblazers doing a lot of good things, for families, for people to get down to Moda Center for some games and check out this group that's playing their tails off right now. I appreciate your time. Happy Thanksgiving. More of the Rip City Drive coming up live from Moda Center here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. I'm live here at Moda Center, getting ready for the NBA Cup game tonight with the Spurs. Tip-off is coming up at 7. Travis Demers and Michael Holton will have the call. Chris Burkhart's going to be by for game day at 5. And we're looking forward to this game. Again, if the Blazers win tonight, they will advance into the knockout round with quarterfinal action either on the 9th or 10th of December. So this is a big opportunity for the Blazers tonight to experience something they have not experienced yet with the in-season tournament. And a big thanks to Gabby Davin, who helped set up my next interview, and she's joining me right now here at Section 330 at the Pines here at Moda Center. Maggie Finn, and she just told me, I asked her, I said, how long have you been with the organization? You told me 20 years?
Yeah, almost.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's been a really good ride.
How many different departments have you worked in over that span?
Yeah, I think 4 or 5. They've been a great company for me. I've been able to kind of learn and grow here and really discover what my passion is. And I just feel really lucky.
What did you discover is your passion?
Yeah, so I'm the Senior Director of Brand Impact and Fan Development. So, I get to be helping with a lot of different things. We're really focused on who our next generation of fan is going to be. So that's why I'm super excited to talk about our Sunday Fun Day series. I get to work with our youth basketball team, our impact marketing team, our retail marketing. So it's a good mix, and it definitely keeps me busy.
Well, that's really awesome. Now, I grew up with a certain group of fans, right? Because you kind of enter into being a basketball fan, and then I kind of advance and grow with the same type of fans that had the same experiences that started with Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Jerome Kersey, and that group that went to the NBA Finals. So I know that group, but what can you tell me about the new generation of Trailblazer fans, some of the younger kids who, consume things differently or whatever, but what have you noticed in that and what have you learned?
Yeah, I think even in the break we were just talking about, there's so many things competing for kids' attention these days. So, I think that we are trying to really cut through the noise, and, one of the things we're doing is we know 6 and 7 p.m. start times are pretty late for kids. Yeah. So we're really lucky. We have 4 3 p.m. Sunday starts this season, and when we saw that, we had some last year, but by the time we realized that schedule, we kind of were struggling to keep up with figuring out what exactly we wanted to do. But in seeing those games last season, saw the number of families that were out here, and we just really saw this as an opportunity to let's create a really robust platform for these 4 games, really focus on what would be exciting for kids and families. So we have all sorts of things happening this coming Sunday. So on November 30th, 3 p.m. Against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So it'll be a great game.
Well, it's a phenomenal game. Defending champs coming to town for the first family fun day on a Sunday, which is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, the fun starts as soon as they get in the building. They're going to get this map that I have here. Absolutely. We needed to put all the things that we're doing because all of a sudden it was like, how do we communicate where to go and what families can be expecting? So we've got... It's
a beautiful red-colored map with easy-to-follow key on it and everything.
Yeah, exactly. We've always got our fun pregame parade with Blaze and Doug, so encouraging people to still get here early. Doors are at 1:45. But on top of that, we are actually taking over what is typically the broadcast set. We're going to have a bunch of really fun inflatables, a bunch of games there. We're going to have, basically in every corner of this arena that we could put something kid-friendly, we're going to have something kid-friendly. We have a family value menu, so there will be $4 hot dogs, $2 sodas, $10 combo meals. And, part of all of this was we talked to a lot of parents. What do you want to see? They said, we want to know where things are. We want to, be able to communicate to our kids what they can expect and then be able to follow through on what we're saying. And then also, don't forget about us. So we will have Bloody Marys and mimosas available at some of the bars throughout the arena.
I love this, too. Collaborations with OMSI and Hopscotch, curating interactive experiences for youth on the concourse. You're going to have a little bit of everything for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Depending on the kids and what their interests are.
Exactly. We have so many amazing family institutions in this city that we obviously wanted to get some of them involved, and really excited to have OMSI and Hopscotch with us.
It's so great that you're doing this because I look, when I was younger, I was a sports fan, and all I cared about was watching basketball games and having my parents take me to Blazer games. But the problem is that my mom was the gatekeeper, and if I wanted to go to a game, and a big game like maybe the Lakers are in town or whoever, on a weeknight, and the game tips off at 7 o'clock, I couldn't sell it on my mom. Don't worry, I won't be a problem when I get up for school the next day. She's like, no, we can't do that, so I'd have to wait for weekend games but it was a really hard sale. So that's what I love about this, because you know as well as I do, if you come in for a 3 o'clock tip, the game's going to go over roughly around 5:30. You get home well before bedtime. You still have a chance to eat and spend family dinner together before the kids go to bed and get ready for a new week.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we were super excited when we saw these games, and just knew it was such a great opportunity to, welcome our younger fans that typically, to your point, aren't able to make the later games.
Yes, and I think the value is important as well. $4 hot dogs, $2 popcorns.
Yep.
That's a big deal, because you know as well as I do, kids are expensive, life is expensive, and so when you start to calculate, if you've got a family of 4, maybe a family of 5 or 6, the cost of going to a Blazer game, the family fun day with the value built in, it's an affordable way to go out and experience an NBA game and spend time together as a family, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's also easy. Parents are taken in so many different directions. It's like, okay, we have this figured out for you. If you want dinner at this game or a snack, like here are the things. Obviously, there's plenty of other options, but it's just, it was a really great opportunity for us to make it as easy on parents as we could.
And the good thing too is, like, a lot of times when you have multiple kids, some may be really into the basketball. Some may be younger, have no interest in basketball, but with the other activities going on around the concourse, you can keep them satisfied, for the 2.5 hours that the game's going on.
Yeah, and to your point, like, we've got a ton of variety, so we're going to have all sorts of, of course, basketball, inflatables, and those things, but we're going to have some arcade games as well. OMSI's going to have their kind of science exhibit that they bring to different places with them. So I honestly feel like there's something for everyone, and honestly, I think it'll be really fun for parents as well.
I love this, too, with the game. So the first one's coming up this Sunday on the 30th. And then we got one on December 28th, shortly after Christmas, which is against Boston, another big-time basketball game. Yep. January 11th against the Knicks, another quality opponent. And then March 29th against Washington. So spaced out through the course of the season, November, December, January, and March, 4 really good games.
Yeah, I mean, and that we were really excited to see that as well. We're really hoping this can become a family tradition. Like, we hope people will want to come to more than one, maybe all 4, and this at least is, they're spread out throughout the rest of the season.
That's great. I think one of my favorite things, and I see this with Blazers Edge Night, we're going to see it on Sunday, but I love seeing kids who are experiencing their very first basketball game. When they walk into the arena, they see the guys on the floor, they see the lights, the sounds, like that experience, and to see their eyes light up, like, to me, I'll pay to see that kind of activity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all, we get to see these things more often than most people, and I think you forget how amazing it is. So to be able to see it from a kid's eyes, it just really brings you back to how much is happening, how exciting it is, all there is to see and do. We're
talking with Maggie Finn, who has been with the Trailblazers for 20 years. We're focused in on the Sunday Family Fun Days. The first one's coming up this weekend, November 30th, against Oklahoma City. Just go to trailblazers.com for the details, family value meals, and plenty of activities for the kids, which is going to be awesome. Now, you said that you grew up in New York before you made the transition out to the West Coast. Travis Demers, my buddy and voice of the Blazers, he grew up right almost where you did. He's from Westchester.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to ask him about that.
I know. I can't believe I haven't.
Just the other day, he's like, he looked at this area code, and I said, "What area code is that from?" He goes, "That's a Westchester area code."
Yep.
Like, he knows the exact area code and everything.
I still have my Westchester area code for my cell phone, so I should just call him and see what happens.
Did you go to school out here, or did you go to school on the East Coast?
I went to college in Maine, and I loved it. It was a small liberal arts school, but I graduated with a history degree and was like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So me and
be a professor.
Friends, yeah, exactly. We were like, let's go live somewhere different for what we thought would be a year. And
why did you choose Portland?
We actually had a few friends that had lived in Bend for a number of summers, and they were talking about how incredible that area is, and that Portland was such a cool city. And we were just like, all right, let's give it a try. So we did, and 20 years later, it's a hard place to leave once you're here. Yeah, no doubt. Did you notice right away, like, just the vibe being on the West Coast compared to the East Coast? It's different. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up 45 minutes outside of New York City, and I love that city. It's a great place to visit, but it's definitely, speaking of vibe, not my vibe. Yeah. It's just super fast-paced. Everyone's trying to get somewhere ahead of everyone else, and to me, the people here, the access to nature, just the community feel, it definitely feels like home. Yeah, it's not as it's more spread out, when you get out to the West Coast. But I'll say this, I had the same experience, though. I had not been to New York. The first time I went was back in 2017. I've been multiple times now.
But I had the same experience. Because people, the East Coast people I knew, they're like, oh, New York's the best. I'm like, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I went in, and then I'll never forget, I caught a flight from Portland into Philly and then had to catch a short flight from Philly to New York. And when we came down out of the clouds and I looked out the window and I saw the city, it was like never ending.
Yeah.
It was like the Emerald City. I'm like, does it end?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a chance to travel around and see different things. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like in New York there is, something for everyone. You can do whatever you want at any point. But, my grandmother used to always say, you do know New York is the center of the universe, right? And I'm like, well, that's why I don't want to live there. I like to visit it, but it is not for me.
Well, it's great. In the work that you do with the Trailblazers, the one thing I've noticed, and I truly believe this, and I want to see if you've experienced this or recognize it, but if you look at every team in the NBA, I don't think that there's a market that has a more special connection between team and community than what you have here in Rip City.
Yeah.
So like the campaign and the slogan "Rip City runs deep." Like I know exactly what that means because I've been here for a long time. Like it really does. That connection between team and community is special. It really is. Do you notice that in terms of what your work and communicating with the fans?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially growing up in New York where there were so many teams. When I moved out here, I was like, this is special, this connection. And, I mean, I'm wearing my Rip City Runs Deep sweatshirt right now. And, that connection between team, community, city, fans, like it's real and it's deep and it's just amazing to watch and see and get to be a part of.
Yeah, it is. What's the best thing to do for families? Like if you have a mom or dad listening right now and they want more information on the Blazers Sunday Family Fun Days, is the best thing to do just go to trailblazers.com?
Yeah, trailblazers.com/fundays. There's information on tickets and a little bit of what you can expect. But just trust me, you want to be here.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite of like the different things that are going to be set up for the kids? What do you think might be the best?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm pretty excited to see what the inflatable zone will look like in the broadcast set. We've got like archery, basketball, and it's just we typically don't have things like that there. So
archery.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see that. We've got Kid City up on the 300 level, but I feel like we're making our own Kid City down on the 100 level as well.
That's great. I haven't. When I was younger, I thought inflatables were the greatest thing ever, and I've yet to really come across kids that don't see an inflatable. It's like it just makes you want to go in there and just start jumping around.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's my hope. So I'm excited to see it all come to life.
That's really cool. So. First game is going to be Oklahoma City. That's coming up on Sunday. December 28th against Boston. January 11th against the New York Knicks. And then March 29th against Washington. Go to trailblazers.com. There's going to be a lot of different things going on for the kids, as Maggie told you about, plus value menus, $4 hot dogs, $2 popcorns. And parents who are 21 or over can treat themselves to Bloody Marys and mimosas, which is a good thing.
Yes, exactly. We got to make
if
sure
you need something to take the edge off, we got you. We got your back, parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this team this year, I talk to a lot of fans, probably a lot of the same people you do. They love how hard they play. They love the way that they compete on both ends. And just the passion, like the energy that they bring to the basketball court. Like I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from fans in terms of what they're seeing from this group. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a good group of guys and players, and they play hard and they play gritty and they play for each other, which I think the fans really appreciate. And it's just been a really, really fun group to watch come together. And obviously, we've had some injuries, but moving in the right direction there. And then, next season we'll have Dame and, I just think that there's so much potential and so much exciting things.
How excited were the people that when they found out Dame was coming back?
Oh, so excited. I mean, he means so much to this town and this community. I mean, back to what you were saying about fans, like his impact was so much greater than basketball. And I feel like that's what people were excited for. I mean, of course, he's an incredible player and we're excited to have him back on the court, but it's really about the community and how much he cares and how much he thinks of this as home.
It's funny. I'm friends with his cousin, and we play golf together. And so after he got bought out by Milwaukee, I was out there at the golf course getting ready to take off on my round, and I was talking with him, and we're talking, there was a conversation going, hey, what do you think Dame's going to do? And so I said, well, I think he's going to, take some time and see what's out there before and continue to rehab and make a decision. And his cousin kind of smiled and said, I think he's going to be back with the Blazers. And I'm like, get out of here. It's not going to happen. I hope it does, but I don't think so.
Yep.
And then, like, a couple days later, he's with the Blazers again. I was like, he was trying to tell me something, man.
Yep.
Isn't that awesome?
That is, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a microcosm of everything you talked about with Rip City Runs Deep, where – like, the biggest thing I got from people are like, hey, I don't care what Dame does on the basketball floor. He's back where he belongs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of that whole connection between team and community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we consider him he's one of us.
Yeah, and his family's here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, the connection is so deep and so real. And, obviously we have so many players playing right now that I feel like also are growing that bond here. And it's just really cool to see.
Think about the guys like Denny Avdia, who's my favorite player to watch right now. So much fun with the way he competes, like a fan favorite. Donovan Clingan and his work. There's just a lot of likable guys on the squad.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are your plans for Thanksgiving tomorrow?
Since my family is on the East Coast, I always do a Friendsgiving. So getting together with a bunch of friends. Yep. And I'm in charge of the mashed potatoes, which seems like something hopefully I can't mess up.
Have you mastered the art of making the mashed potatoes?
Last time I did the stuffing and it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. So I'm going to give mashed potatoes a try. But I like to think I'm a decent cook, so I think it'll be okay.
That's the problem too. My mom ruined it for me because she's so good with the stuffing. I'm like, I'm not gonna. I can do mashed potatoes pretty well. I watched a lot of Food Network. I came up with a homemade recipe for green bean casserole, so I can do a couple of things, but I don't want to do the stuffing because I know it's going to pale in comparison to what Mom can do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a tough one. So, that one's the high risk, high reward, but also,
All right, Maggie, give me your title one more time because I don't want to butcher it.
Yep, Senior Director of Brand Impact and Fan Development.
All right, Maggie Finn talking about Blazers Sunday Family Fun Days. The first one's coming up this Sunday against Oklahoma City, December 28th, January 11th, and March 29th. For more information, just go to trailblazers.com. Maggie, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chad. This is great.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. Don't forget Sean Highkin going to join me coming up at 4:20. It's the Rip City Drive live from Moda Center here on Rip City Radio 620. That was great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're a natural, man. Thank you.
Thank you. You make it easy.
But your entire team, like. All right, you can reach out to me on the Rip City Radio text line, 88528. 88528, that's how you can reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. With my family scattered, I had a discussion with the kids, and they're like, Dad, we'd rather go out to eat. I don't blame them, so I'm not going to fix food for them. It's not like I'm a bad cook. I can do a few things, but you don't want me trying to, create some type of Thanksgiving spread. That would be a disaster. All right, I know what I'm capable of. I know what things I can make and make well. But so we're going to go out to eat and get a chance to spend some time together, which will be nice. And then I'll take off next week to go and be with my family and my brother. But reach out to me on the text line, 88528 from the 503. Sorry to hear about your brother, Chad. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Shacker, and the rest of the Blazer Radio broadcast team. You guys are the best. Well, I certainly appreciate that. From the 503, don't be scared to leave your dentist and hygienist. Taking drugs to enjoy your treatment is not the answer. Take a friend's advice and give yourself a quality dentist hygienist without the gimmicky drugs. Look, laughing gas is not gimmicky, clown. And I know who you are, Tony. There's nothing gimmicky about nitrous oxide. I'm just telling you that stuff works for me. It's I just wish I could have it strapped to my face all day long. I've never experienced something where when I'm using it, nothing but euphoric thoughts through my mind. And the best part is I'm not like paranoid or, worried about someone trying to find me. I'm just saying that laughing gas works for me. And then I just make sure that they crank that bad boy all the way up. I get the full amount, and I feel great. I'm happy. I'm laughing. Even the bad jokes that the dentist tells I'm laughing at, I just feel good. And I'm not worried about what they're doing to my mouth or my teeth or whatever. Because, I get anxiety going to the dentist. I don't like it, right? Call me whatever you want. I don't like the dentist. I'm not the only one. There are certain things that I have what do you call that? Unrealistic or what is that word I'm looking for? Like, you ever had a fear of something that even though it's not rational? I have irrational fear when it comes to certain things. Like, I hate flying. I fly, but I certainly don't enjoy it. I'm pretty much white-knuckling it most of the time. So I found this article. It's this pilot talking about turbulence and the different things you experience on a plane. I always read that before I jump on a flight just to remember when I'm experiencing things that we're okay. I fly, but I don't like it. I don't like going to the dentist. Fear of heights, kind of, but not too bad. I don't have like arachnophobia. Is that when you're afraid of the spiders? I don't have a fear of that. Just some things. We're all like that, right? Is there anything else? Oh, yeah. I don't want to drown. I'm not going scuba diving. I know people that scuba dive. My brother used to be a scuba diver. My dad's done it. I have no desire to be underneath the water. It's just not my thing. I'll swim. I don't like to be in oceans or lakes or as I get older, like, you don't know what's down there. I don't know what's down there. You don't know what's down there. And I just don't want to be eaten by something else. I don't want to drown. It's not really at the top of my priority list. You know what I'm saying? You can reach out to me on the text line at 88528. 88528. We got a big day coming up tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Sending hugs and prayers, Chad, to you and your family. I appreciate that from the 360. Happy Thanksgiving, Chad. I'm thankful for you and your hard work and the great shows you delivered to us on a daily basis. You make my day better. Thank you so much. Show me your blazer. Sean in Damascus. He's cracking on his own town. Also from the 503, PA announcer in the area here, loving this Curtis Long segment. Yeah, Curtis joined me yesterday and had a chance to talk about that experience. How about filling in for Don Essig? Like, that's a big deal, right? Because Don Essig's only been doing PA work for the Ducks for like 50-plus years. And he was nervous that they're going to have him say it doesn't rain at Autzen Stadium. Like, there's certain things I would never do. Like, I'm not going to try to pretend to be somebody I'm not. Like, if you want Duck fans to hate you, go up there in the box, get on the microphone like Curtis, and try to pretend to be Don Essig, and they're not going to be down with you. But Curtis did it his own way. And what an honor it was for him as a former Duck himself to be able to do that. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number, 503-248-0620. Or you can hit me up on the Rip City Radio text line at 88528, 88528, and you can hit me up. Looking forward to the NFL games this week, and not just tomorrow on Thanksgiving, but I love this time of year because we're getting down to where these games really matter. How about this game on Friday in the afternoon on Prime? Bears at the Eagles. You know, the Eagles, I don't know what the problem is, right? But they're not running the football like they did last year. Saquon Barkley's not having the season like he did last year. And there apparently is some type of issue between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And the fact that the coach hired his buddy to be the offensive coordinator, and he's not getting the job done. It's frustrating to watch a team like the Eagles who have so much talent, dominant at the line of scrimmage. Defensive line is a scary group, but they're just not quite clicking on all the cylinders. I mean, if you look around the NFL right now, if you had to pick one team that is head and shoulders above the rest in terms of their operation, it's probably the L.A. Rams. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to win the championship. I'm just saying that they look as good as anybody in the NFL right now. You know, probably the three best teams right now that you look to, Rams, Patriots, Broncos, in terms of operation. And Matt Stafford is playing like an MVP. But the Bears, look, they're not playing perfect football, and they're pulling games out of their backside, but we're seeing the progress there with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. And they're winning and finding a way to be opportunistic on defense in spite of all the injuries that they've been suffering. I mean, they played this last game. Like their entire linebacking group was out. I just love to see good coaches go to work. You know, Ben Johnson's come in. He's coached Caleb hard. And the operation looks so much tighter compared to last year with that buffoon Matt Eberflus, who got capped after that Thanksgiving Day game when his team blew it, right? Well, look at what Ben Johnson has done. He's come in. I mean, he's coaching Caleb hard, set high expectations, and the overall operation is much better. And the Bears now have a clear path to the postseason, which is great. I mean, they're ahead of schedule right now, and they're doing so with significant injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And I like to see that type of progress. The same thing with the Patriots. I knew that the Matt Vrabel was the right hire. I just didn't expect to see the Patriots come out and start the season at 10-2. It's pretty remarkable to see what they've done. And Drake May is not like dinking and dunking and being some type of system quarterback. He's attacking downfield and showing terrific mobility. So it's pretty awesome. And if you look at the teams that we thought would be dominant, Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, they're a disaster. Kansas City, just above 500, they have issues. Their defense looks a little bit slower than it has in the past. Patrick Mahomes is having, some issues in certain situations with turnovers, and they can't run the football. They're very one-dimensional, and they've lost a lot of the one-score games. This past game against the Colts was their first one-score win of the year. They were 0-5 going into that game in one-score games. They're now 1-5 after the Colts game. Baltimore has been decimated by injuries, and I don't care what they say or what John Harbaugh says, and he's been proven this year to be a liar when it comes to the health of his quarterback. Lamar Jackson's not right. He's been banged up all year long, and right now their offense is struggling because teams don't fear him running the football. So that's a problem. 49ers at the Browns. Keep an eye on Brock Purdy. If he goes out and throws another 3 interceptions in this one, and he might, based on that defense and the type of day Myles Garrett might have, how do you not go back to Mac Jones? And where's the crowd that said that Brock Purdy was an elite quarterback? Because that's not true. I'm just telling you that Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan has worked his ass off to get his team to where they're at right now, sitting with a record of 8-4. He is not going to continue to allow his quarterback to go out there and play if he's going to throw 3 picks in the first half. And he's probably lucky he didn't throw 5 picks in that game. But the 49ers, between Shanahan and Saleh, doing a heck of a job coaching that group. It's pretty wild. All right, Sean Highkin's going to join me coming up at 4:20. I'm live here at Moda Center along with Brendan Slaughter. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 4 o'clock. The Trailblazers in action tonight. NBA Cup game against the Spurs. Tip-off is coming up at 7. Chris Burkhart will have game day live from Moda Center at 5 here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. If the Trailblazers win tonight, they will advance to the knockout round with quarterfinal action on either the 9th or 10th of December. Sean Highkin will stop by coming up at 4:20 for the latest on the Trailblazers ahead of tonight's game against the Spurs. We have a Thanksgiving triple header in the NFL. Packers are with the Lions in game 1. Detroit favored by 2.5. The middle game features the Chiefs and Cowboys from Big D. KC favored by 3. And the nightcapper Bengals at the Ravens. Baltimore favored by 7. Joe Burrow expected to make his return to the lineup. The Ducks are in Seattle to take on the Huskies Saturday. 12:30 kick on CBS. Oregon favored by 6.5. A win locks up their spot in the college football playoff. All right. My prayers to anyone that's out there dealing with the traffic right now. Like usual, the day before Thanksgiving, everyone's trying to get the heck out of Dodge. It's like a sea of red lights out there. It was a train wreck. I was in downtown at First and Lincoln working out. And so I just had to jump on the 405, take the Markham over to the Coliseum exit to come to work. Thankfully, I don't have to drive out to Tigard, which gets tired after a while. I just had to make the trip over to Moda Center. And I was like, I almost had an aneurysm. You get on the freeway and you're like, and you know that part on the Markham where it's like I'm trying to go straight on I-5 and you got all these numbnuts who are trying to get over to get on 84. And then we just stopped because people in this town do not know how to merge. And not only that, but people in this town do not know how to drive in the rain. And that's something I'll never understand. It's like, hey, people, we've lived in this for how long? It rains all the flipping time this time of year. What's the issue with the driving? So I can only take so much. And one day it's going to be something little like the traffic or morons not knowing how to drive in the rain even though they live in the rain, or some type of technical issue with the radio show. And then I'm just going to cease to exist. That's what's going to take me out. I can pretty much guarantee that. Sean Highkin going to join me coming up in 20 minutes. We'll get the latest on the Trailblazers. But joining me right now here at Section 330 is my man Brendan Slaughter, who is also with Beaver's Edge. And right now he's engineering the program on site with the laptop, just being a straight badass. What's up, brother?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I love seeing you multitask.
Dude, it's awesome. I'm happy to be here. Like you, I felt like I needed an extra hour to get through the traffic. I'm kind of jealous, Chad, that you started in Portland, having to come from Sherwood. Oh, it was like a fish upriver today. I'm glad I gave myself an hour. And, yeah, obviously, as we've been sitting here, there's been a little bit new Beaver's Edge and Oregon State coaching search news that's kind of dropped. So,
all right, give us the latest then. So, first off, when are you expecting the announcement on who the next head coach is going to be? Is that going to come Monday or is it going to come tomorrow? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, based on what I've been hearing, I think it's fair to assume we're going to have a press conference Monday or Tuesday. The announcement itself, I think, may leak maybe today, tomorrow, maybe Friday. I would be surprised if Scott Barnes and the athletic department decide to announce it before the game against Washington State, just out of respect for Rob Akey kind of a deal. But I would guess that now, as we've kind of seen, again, since we started talking, Brett Vegan, Montana State head coach, came out on social media and re-upped his affirmation with the Bobcats. So really, that kind of leaves Alabama assistant Jamarcus Shepard as kind of the only man in the clubhouse. There's been some chatter around Justin Wilcox. I think there's still a few people that may still wait to see what happens in East Lansing with a certain coach, but all indications are looking like Jamarcus Shepard at the moment.
Well, what have you heard from the different candidates? Like, I mean, in terms of the people that you've talked to, like, who do you think would be the best fit for Oregon State based on where they're at and what they need to accomplish?
Yeah, I think you could have gone a couple different ways. I think Brett Vegan had some positives before he decided to stay at Montana State. I think Jamarcus Shepard is somebody who is considered a rising star in kind of the industry.
And what is exactly? So he's like an assistant head coach at Alabama. What else does he handle? What's his expertise?
Co-OC and then wide receivers coach. So you go back to when Washington was so successful with, Michael Penix and Rome Odunze and whatnot. He was the receivers coach. He's been a receivers coach at some, pretty key spots. Also been an OC for about 7 years now, something like that. So, I think
and I'm assuming that if you're on Alabama staff, you're not a dum-dum, right?
No, and you're talking about just the talent and being able to have an ace recruiter. I mean, Oregon State, if they went that route, Chad, would have...
Is Jamarcus considered a ace recruiter?
Definitely. And you talk about his time with DeBoer, his time in the Midwest. He kind of an unconventional hire as far as like, hey, go grab this receivers coach, co-OC from Alabama and make your way up to Corvallis. But all indications were that when he even was, considered, he wanted the job right away. There was a deep kind of, I really want this, which tells me he's got a decent plan. But at the same token, we know how these coaching searches go. Why that's the lead guy right now, and I'd be surprised if we moved in a different direction. I have been told it's not over yet, so we got to stay on our toes.
I know that's what you were told, but do you think it's over? Do you think Shepard's the guy?
I think Shepard is the leader in the clubhouse right now, but I don't know if Scott Barnes and Oregon State have necessarily done with Justin Wilcox.
Who's truly got the final say? Is it Barnes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Scott Barnes will be making the final say, and, from what we've known, it was the committee that put the group together. They kind of whittled it down. I don't know exactly how Shepard's interview went. Haven't had a whole lot of leakage there, but there is a consensus amongst the fan base. He would just bring a lot of energy, Chad.
How much do you think Oregon State will pay, on an annual basis for a coach? Between 2.5 and 3? Like, what type of number are we looking at here for Oregon State?
It's a good question. So, you go back to what Trent Bray was paid as a first-time head coach. It was just over $1.5 million, right? So you think someone coming from Alabama, but also a first-time head coach, I'd think somewhere in that maybe $1.75, $2 million range is probably likely. I think that there's different aspects of how this is going to go, because we don't know exactly what the budget is that Jamarcus Shepard's going to get worked with to build those coordinators and whatnot.
Have you heard anything about what the media rights deal will be for the new Pac-12?
Yes. So as far as TV partners or just money?
What type of money what do you think per school they'll be looking to get?
It's hard to say. I haven't heard concrete numbers.
Is it going to be less than $10 million?
Possibly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean I'll be honest with you, Chad. I don't have those exact numbers. I can't even really speculate, so I don't want to give you wrong info, but they were shooting for 10 to 15. I don't know where they ultimately landed. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think if you're Oregon State, what do you have to lose to go hire somebody young, up and coming? And maybe you don't have him forever, but I don't think anybody's forever in college football. Maybe you have him for 3 years or 4 years, and he gives you 2 or 3 good years, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the way you got to do it. If a guy can come in and resurrect your program, but he ends up taking a different job, then so be it.
So be it.
At least he did a good job when he was here. Now, this is I don't mean this to be a slight, but is for Shepard, if you take a head coaching job at Oregon State, is that a step up from being an assistant at Alabama?
Yeah, I would say so, and only in the sense of...
Because it's your program.
Look at Kirk Snetti, right? You're talking about somebody who spent time as Alabama's receivers coach with Nick Saban.
James Madison, right?
And then I believe there might have even been one more in between before he went to James Madison. I don't have that in front of me. Maybe it was forget it. But regardless, when he was there and spent time with Nick Saban, he's like, okay, it's not going to happen for me at Alabama. I need to go. And look, he rode James Madison to Indiana. I'm not saying he's Kurt Cignetti. I think he's one of one. But
but that's what it comes down to. So what you're saying is that if you're Shepard or anybody else, if you get an opportunity to be a head guy, regardless of school, like, for instance, if you take the job at Oregon State and you help turn the program around, I mean, how many schools will be looking to bring you on board, right? It would open up opportunities for you.
Oh, totally. I mean, again, Chad, things have changed a lot, but yet I don't think things have changed a lot for Oregon State since 1998. Mike Riley went 5-6. It was so, oh my gosh, you won 5 games at Oregon State. He got the Chargers job the next year. So let's not all forget like how success at Oregon State can really elevate your profile. And the last 2 years have not gone according to plan. You got the new conference next year, and there's just no time to.
Dennis Erickson parlayed his work into a job with the 49ers.
Exactly. So, and you could even make the argument Riley took the Nebraska job. He was, it didn't work out, but hey, that was a more prestigious job than Oregon State at the time, and he took a swing at it. So, yeah, I mean, I think energy is the biggest thing. I think they'll be able to have a guy who can go into a living room and maybe get 1 to 2 kids a year where you're like, hey, why is he going to Oregon State? Oh, well, Jamarcus Shepard's coaching him and recruiting him.
That's great. Okay, good. So I want Shepard to be the guy. I just like his resume, his background. And I just want the hire to be like out of the box, right? Find someone with energy that can come in and recruit. That's what Oregon did. They brought in Dan Lanning because he was a recruiting, because of his recruiting prowess.
Obviously, he was most definitely.
No ties to the program whatsoever, and it's been the perfect hire.
Oh, absolutely perfect hire. And I'd go back even further, Chad. They had no connection to Willie Taggart when they went in that full direction.
And look at the talent. Taggart, the one thing that people have to remember is that he changed the way that the school recruits.
He did, and laid the groundwork for Mario Cristobal. I don't want to say it wasn't Mario who had the success later, but,
Mario had no connections, right?
To Oregon? No, because they brought him from Alabama. So it was and Miami, obviously. So, going full bore into the recruiting kind of world, again, is Oregon State going to be the biggest player in NIL space? No. But can a guy, like a Jamarcus Shepard maybe maximize that and get kids to come play for him? I think so.
All right, Brendan Slaughter on the story. So season finale coming up against Washington State, and then But the only thing people care about right now is the coach, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the dominant story.
Yeah, Chad, in the NBA, we hear it around the All-Star break, 1, 2, 3, Cancun, right? I don't know if the entire Oregon State team is there, but, they're only human, right? They're like you and I. They're on their phones. They're seeing us drop 8 different names. They don't know who's going to be their coach on Sunday morning or Monday. I love Rob Akey. I think he's been a breath of fresh air, but this season needs to come to a close.
I know from talking to parents who have kids on the roster this year that it's been a brutal experience.
It has, and
brutal. And you've talked to some of the players too, but what I was told is like it from the players' perspective, it sucked.
Yeah, it was hard, and you talk about the expectations. I mean, Chad, you could have held my feet to the fire in August. Said Brendan, pick how many wins, and I was telling you 7, 8 wins.
Well, when you looked at the schedule and you had Tulsa and Sam Houston State and freaking Appalachian State.
Even Wake Forest wasn't a world beater by any means, right? I mean, the season came apart at the seams. I feel for the kids, and there's going to be a good bit of guys that hit the transfer portal. But
the biggest disappointment was the lack of production from the high-priced QB, right?
Oh, I mean, to spend $1.5 million, Chad, I'll say this, and this is what happened with Trent Bray, right? Chad, if you or I were investing, we were investment bankers, and you lost your company a $1.5 million investment, or that return on investment was
you get fired.
2 wins, what happens to you?
You're gone.
So, I mean,
You're
it's unfortunate. I wish it turned out better, but, hopefully we can get back on the right track.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, brother, and keep up the good work at Beaver's Edge, and I think you're going to have a big story to talk about here in the next few days with the coach hire, which is cool.
Absolutely. Merry Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Chad, and all the best to you and your fam.
All right, we'll come back. Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, is going to join us, and we'll get his thoughts as we get ready for some NBA Cup action tonight. Hard to believe, but if the Blazers win this game tonight, they will advance to the knockout round for quarterfinal action coming up on December 9th or 10th. Tip-off with the Spurs is coming up at 7 from Moda Center right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. I don't know why, Brendan. You always do that, Brendan. You always turn the music down that I love before I start talking. Why do you do that to me? You got to keep that stuff going, man. You drive me crazy when you do that. Like, I love that song. And then all of a sudden it disappeared, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? All right, very happy to welcome my buddy Sean Highkin, Trailblazer Insider from Rose Garden Report. And thank you. You brought a wonderful toy to contribute to the K103 Under the Tree Toy Drive, which will benefit the Children's Hospital, Randall's, right down the street. And it's going on until late in December. And if you go to our website, RipCityRadio.com, go to the calendar page, you can pull up the different Jamba Juice locations where you can stop by, drop off a toy, and you get 10% off your beverage. So thank you, Sean. That's pretty awesome, buddy.
Yeah, doing what I can. Everybody wants to get like me. Go donate to the toy drive.
Yes. Okay. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that 2-1 road trip with wins over Golden State and Milwaukee, you lose to Oklahoma City with the guys they have playing right now with significant injury. Like, that was a sweet road trip.
Anytime you go on a road trip, you want to go at or around 500.
Absolutely.
For any of these road trips. Obviously, that first road trip, the 5-gamer,
not a success.
Not a good road trip because they went 1-4. Now, you can say they could have gone 4-1 if some of those things bounced a different way, but they did not. So that was a bad road trip because they went 1-4.
Yeah.
This road trip, they go 2-1. You get blown out by Oklahoma City, whatever. Everybody gets blown out by Oklahoma City. These guys are literally the only team that has beaten them this whole season. So, there's not much you can do about that. And also, that game, I think the one positive about that game is that it got out of hand pretty quick. And so none of the regular guys played in the fourth quarter. And
none
so
of
they
them played 30 minutes.
And so then they were able to. And also, they didn't play Rob Williams in that game. They played him on the second end of the back-to-back instead of the first.
Which was smart. I think they knew.
They knew that was that game, and they wanted to have a shot in the Milwaukee game, and they were able to take care of that one. That even without Giannis, winning that game is still on the road in the second half of a back-to-back. It's still. Those are the teams. If you're a good team, you should take care of games like that, and they did.
Well, I agree. And I don't give a flying rip who's playing for the other team. When you have City Sissoko and Caleb Love playing significant minutes, and you're still finding ways to scratch out road wins, that is a big deal. Somehow, some way, Coach Splitter is continuing to get these guys to play hard. And I think what I like most about this team, because of the foundation was laid before the season, they have an identity, right? Mm-hmm. So even when guys come in that weren't expected to play, at least everyone who's playing understands what they're trying to accomplish on a nightly basis.
Yeah, well, the defense has slipped a little bit from where it was the first couple weeks of the season, but that's, guys are getting injured, the guys that are playing are getting tired, guys are having to play outside of their roles, but the way that they're competing, you saw it in the Golden State game, you saw it even in some of these closer losses, they battled back in the Chicago game, before the road trip, they're sticking to what they have been good at, and the levels of success are varying based on what the personnel is and what the talent is that they have on the floor, but they haven't kind of lost sight of what they need to be doing and the way they need to be playing.
I thought the fourth quarter comeback, 32-7 run with 9:16 to play. Even though they lost the game, I thought that was a microcosm of what this year's Trailblazer team is all about.
Yeah, this time last year before the Blazers, had that second half of the season turnaround and were, in more of these games, if this is around the time of last season that they had that loss to Memphis where we were all wondering if the season was going to go off the rails.
That's right.
If they had gotten down 21 in the fourth quarter last year, I don't think they were coming back to be in that game.
That's right. Sean Highkin, Trailblazer Insider from Rose Garden Report, is here. A lot of credit to go around. I continue to be very impressed with Jeremy Grant. He had a game-high 35 in the victory over Milwaukee, but what's been great about him, whether it's off the bench or in the starting lineup, his aggressiveness and no mid-range. He is either attacking the paint and getting right at the rim, or he's shooting threes. And in that game against Milwaukee, I think he put up 19 free throws. So his aggressiveness, there's been multiple games this year where his aggressiveness in getting to the foul line, a lot of times you can get teams in the penalty with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the quarter, and that gives a team that doesn't shoot the ball well secret ways to get points, hidden points.
Yeah, it's been huge. Him and Denny are both really good at drawing those, and also so was Shaden when he was in the lineup. We'll see if he ends up playing tonight, but Jeremy Grant's aggressive. This is considering the way last season went for him, I don't think anybody really knew what to expect, and especially the fact that they started the season bringing him off the bench, how he was going to react to that. This is the best season that he's had since he got to Portland, easily.
Yeah, there's no question. I've been very impressed with him. And Donovan Clingan continues to be
the last
an
week
animal.
or so. He's been awesome.
His
He's found a
offensive
different-
rebounding, his toughness.
He's found a different gear the last week or so.
He's playing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, too, where whatever the coaches ask of him, he'll do it.
Yeah. And that's one of the, and he's also that's somebody you were a little bit worried about because the middle of that first half of the Warriors game, he goes out with an ankle injury, and we were watching the replay. Me and Casey were up on press row at Chase Center watching the replay, and it didn't look good. It looked like it was kind of a non-contact thing, and so we were thinking, like, oh, God, like this is the last thing they need now. They don't have any healthy guards, and now their starting center is going to be out for a while, too. He came back in, finished the game. He was fine, and then they listed him as questionable for the Oklahoma City game. Ended up playing. He was fine. He played the Milwaukee game. He was fine, and he's not on the injury report. So that was like a little bit of a scare, but he's battling through whatever he's battling through, and he's playing the best basketball of his career so far.
All right, let's run through some of the guys. You can give me the latest report on what you know. Scoot Henderson with the left hamstring tear. When do you think we might see him back on the floor?
Well, the team said this past Friday that he will be reevaluated in 2 to 4 weeks, so the soonest we might see something on him if his rehab is really progressing is after this 4-game road trip that they have coming up in the first week of December. Given how conservative they tend to be with some of these hamstring and calf injuries, I would guess that it's probably not going to be 2 weeks. It might be more of the 4-week, maybe after that gap in the schedule, whatever ends up happening with the Cup, which I'm sure we'll get to. Whatever after that, when the schedule calms down a little bit, maybe like end of around Christmas, maybe optimistically.
Okay, Drew Holiday, right calf strain.
They said 1 to 2 weeks, so probably misses this upcoming road trip because again, they want to be careful with the calf stuff, and at his age, especially you want to be careful with this stuff with how important he's been to the team when he has played. So maybe second week of December we might hear something about him.
All right, Matisse Thybulle, who's got that thumb ligament tear.
That's a good question because this coming Friday, 2 days from now, is 4 weeks since they ruled him out for 4 to 6 weeks. And unlike these other injuries, so all of these other ones we're talking about, like this calf injuries or hamstring injuries, that's stuff you have to be really careful with. You can't do anything physical or any kind of activity or any kind of contact while you're rehabbing from that. So, a guy like Scoot has literally not been cleared to do any kind of basketball activity since before training camp. But with Matisse Thybulle, he tore a ligament on the thumb on his non-shooting hand. That doesn't mean you can't do other stuff to stay in shape. You can't do cardio. You can't do shooting stuff with your other hand, like one hand. You can do other stuff to stay in shape. So once the medical staff, whenever that may be, they look at his thumb and decide that it's strong enough for him to be able to play without risking re-injuring it, there's not as much of a ramp up for him, and he'll just be good to go. But I guess, technically on the short end of the timeline, he could possibly play this coming Sunday against Oklahoma City. I don't know if I would expect that to happen, but I don't think he's that far off.
All right, Sean Highkin is with us. Blake Wesley with the right foot fracture.
Well, 8 to 12 weeks. The early end of that is end of December. Late end of that is end of January. So that's going to be still quite a while for him.
Well, the good news is that even with the injuries, and the way this team's continuing to compete, they're going to start getting some of the guys back.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine.
You just get a couple of these guys. Like if you get Drew back in like a week, and then you get Matisse back in or you get Matisse back in a week, you get Drew back in 2 weeks, you get Scoot back in 4 weeks. You can muddle through the next couple of weeks because so they have San Antonio tonight, Oklahoma City on Sunday, and then they have this 4-game road trip where 3 of the games are going to be pretty tough. You got Toronto, who's playing really, really well unexpectedly, Cleveland, who's a title contender, Detroit, who's also, unexpectedly one of the hottest teams in the NBA, and then Memphis, who's not that good. But, that's 3 out of 4 games on that road trip are going to be really tough. Get through that. They have those 6 games. Go 3-3 in the next 2 weeks, or next week and a half until you get back from that road trip. Then you might start getting some of these guys back, and suddenly you're talking about, okay, now the schedule calms down and you're getting guys healthy, and then they're in okay shape.
All right, Shaedon Sharpe has been upgraded to questionable. When do you think we might see him? Sunday?
He could be tonight. He's listed as questionable, so we'll find out in about an hour from Tiago whether he's going to go. Honestly, if it were me, if they think they can win this game against San Antonio without him, I would just kind of see if you can steal, one more game to rest him, because after tonight,
you get 3 days off.
They don't have a game. Obviously, tomorrow's the holiday. No NBA team plays. But then Friday and Saturday, they don't play games. They probably will do a practice at least one of those 2 days. They haven't really been able to practice basically at all this season. But if they got 2 days off at home after the holiday, get 1 or 2 practice sessions in, and then bring him back for the game Sunday against Oklahoma City. If I were, obviously this is above my pay grade, and the medical staff knows what his status is better than I do, but if you think you can steal this game against San Antonio without him, I think that's the smarter way to play it.
Okay, I would agree with that. Now, the NBA Cup, for those who don't quite understand, it's very basic tonight. The Blazers are in a great spot because of their play so far this year. If they win and beat the Spurs tonight, from my understanding, they advance into the knockout round, and they'll play a quarterfinal game on either the 9th or the 10th. Is that correct?
Likely against the Lakers, yes. Like that's
in LA?
In LA, yeah. They would. I mean, so their point after what happened against Houston. So it's kind of wild that this is what we're talking about, because so they win their first cup game against Denver.
Yes.
And then their second cup game, they get blown out by Houston on that road trip.
Yeah.
And I just figured after that, like, okay, this was already the group of death. It was already like a long shot. They get blown out by Houston. Now their point differential is all messed up. So there's no way that they're gonna, they're gonna advance to the knockout stage. And then on this past Friday, they beat Golden State and Houston loses. So now they're back. They're controlling it, because the 2 teams leading the group are Portland and Denver, who are both 2-1. But since Portland beat Denver, they have the tiebreaker, the head-to-head, which is the first thing they use instead of the point differential. So this is a situation. It's pretty straightforward. And it's always a good place to be to control your own destiny. If the Blazers win tonight, they don't have to be like, well, if they win, but then also this other team, like all of these playoff scenarios that we talk about for years as far as seeding. If they win tonight, if they control what they can control and beat San Antonio tonight, they are in the knockout stage of the Cup, which we won't 100% know until Friday, which is the last Cup day, who they're playing. But if we're gonna assume that Oklahoma City is going to run the table in their next 2 games, and they're going to be the number 1 seed and play with whoever the wild card team is, then the Blazers would play at the Lakers, who just clinched winning their group.
That's pretty sweet. Now, what are the main advantages of advancing and being a part of the knockout round of the NBA Cup?
Well, I mean, these are the same regular season games that you're going to be playing anyway, but feeling like you're playing for something, and especially when you think about this season with the amount of adversity that this team has been through, both with the injuries and we kind of forget about it, but their head coach got arrested by the FBI
after the
4 hours after opening game, and that situation is still so. Having this this early part, I don't think anybody thinks of this Blazers team as a title contender. I came into the season thinking they were going to be a play-in team. I still think they're going to be a play-in team. That's just kind of the level of team that they are in the Western Conference. But if they can say, this early part of the season when they're dealing with all this adversity, look, we got through this, and even if they don't win the Cup, we got to the Cup playoffs, or we got to the semifinal or the final in the Cup, that's something they can look at and say, look, we got through this and we did something with it. And obviously, the extra prize money that players are getting if they win the Cup or advance to the final, that doesn't hurt either.
I just think it's great to see them, even with the significant injury and so many guys out of lineup, they're still playing respectable basketball. It's been great.
Yeah, they're battling. I mean, this is like the makeup of the team. There's not anybody on this team that is like dogging it or is not, doing what they can.
All right, Spurs have played good basketball so far this year. 11-5, no Wemby. Who are the guys to keep an eye on tonight for the Spurs?
Well, no Wemby and no Steph Castle, who was playing really, really well before I think he's out with a hip injury.
Yeah.
But what I'm really curious about is we found out this morning that Dylan Harper, the second pick of this draft, who was playing awesome before he went out with a calf injury, he's playing tonight. He's coming back. He's missed the last 10 games. He's back, so that's somebody you obviously have to keep an eye on. But then, Keldon Johnson's playing really well. Devin Vassell is playing really well. Harrison Barnes is still a threat.
I like Keldon Johnson's game.
They have guys. Like, if Wemby were playing, I would be like, this is going to be a real tough game for the Blazers to win, because what Wemby was doing before he went out was like stuff we've never seen before. But I think this game, I mean, this is not going to be an easy game for the Blazers by any means. Like, the Spurs without Wemby are a much better and deeper team than, say, the Bucks without Giannis, who they beat the other night. But this is a game I think the Blazers could win, more so than if the Spurs had Wemby.
I agree. And they're favored. Vegas has, Portland is a slight favorite in this one. But, I guess what we're finding, too, with the Trailblazers, like, we knew going in they were going to be a deeper team, but their depth, this team's got some versatility and depth. The guys have been able to step up and continue to play and get the job done.
Yeah, it's been a little bit surprising because, you look at the roster on paper, and at the beginning of the season, you're just like, yeah, I don't know about all this. And then it's like, you're getting these random games. Like, you got that 26-point game from Caleb Love in the Golden State game. You're getting great play from City Sissoko. Like, he's not going to, he scored 15 points in the Golden State game. That's a career high. That's a little bit of an outlier because scoring is, like, not really his game, but he defends, he rebounds, he can handle the ball, like, at his size. Like, they have guys that are just able to come in and be competent. And that's all you can really do until your Scoot or your Matisse Thybulle, your Drew Holiday or those Shade and those types of guys get back.
You're right about the ball handling. I know you and I were concerned about that with the injuries, but Sissoko and Love have been able to take some of the pressure off of Denny in these games by being able to advance the basketball.
The other thing that we haven't talked about yet that I think has been pretty encouraging from the past week, Toumani Camara seems like he's found his groove a little bit offensively.
God.
Like, he was pretty down on himself the last week or so. Not only that mistake that he made at the end of the Chicago game where he left Nikola Vucevic open to hit that three-pointer. But also, like,
Did you talk to him about that play?
Yeah, he talked to us after the game, and similar to when Denny blew that final possession of regulation, Toumani said, "Yeah, I messed that up. I should have stayed on Vooch. Like, that's my fault." Like, first of all, I like that. I like that all these young guys, when they do make big mistakes like that maybe swing a game, they immediately just own it and say, "Yeah, I need to."
Just like Denny with the bad shot at Dallas.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Toumani said the same thing, but he was just generally kind of down on himself, and you could tell he was kind of frustrated with how he's been playing to start the season, at both ends of the floor. And you don't know, like, is there, like, does he feel more pressure now because he got that contract, whatever. And then, he had his best game of the season against Golden State, and then he played really well against
Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, too, yeah.
Well, okay. He had that deal where he missed some time in the preseason.
Yeah.
Like, it was tough to watch Toumani struggle through that, and I'm so happy that he came out of it. But was there something wrong with his body?
I don't know. I think that was more of a precautionary thing.
I know, but I'm just trying to look at something.
I don't know, but it could be. I don't know.
He could have put pressure on himself with the new deal, like trying to prove that he's worth that.
That happens for young guys. I don't know. No, I think, but I kind of. I mean, you have to look at. You also think about, like, Shaden had a rough first couple weeks of the season, and then he really started to turn it around the last 2 weeks before he got hurt, and then. Look at Denny compare the first 6 weeks of last season when he was kind of turning the ball over a ton, not shooting well, was still finding himself. And then after that, it kind of clicked, and he was the guy that he has been so far this season. Like, you're just kind of seeing that early season struggle for Toumani, and then he got through it the last week or so, and you just have to hope that he continues that.
Yeah, I love Toumani. Man, Denny Avdia has been great. That guy's a flat-out baller.
He's an all-star.
He's an all-star player.
He should be an all-star this year.
He does everything.
Yeah, he's an especially with. I think,
for what they gave up and what they're paying him. Like,
that
bargain.
That trade's an A+, absolutely.
He's been great.
Yeah.
I think I love everything about Denny Avdia. Like, his energy and the way he plays, and he's expending a lot of energy, man. He plays his balls off, Sean. It's been great.
Doing everything for them. And, I mean, especially, like, it's a little bit early to talk about the All-Star stuff, but the way the new format is.
Yeah, I think it's pretty.
There's 8 international spots.
If he continues this play, he's going to be one of the international guys.
Well, the 6 locks are Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Luka, Wemby, Şengün. Yes. I think outside of those 6, Denny probably has the best shot of anybody.
I don't disagree with that. And good for him, man.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love him so much. Real quick, Jeremy Grant, like, how do you explain his resurgence? What's gotten into him?
I think he's just happy because the team came into the season trying to win, which was not the case either the last 2 years.
Okay. It's amazing. When you're trying to win games, players enjoy it more.
Keep telling people this tanking stuff is not the fix that everybody thinks it is.
It doesn't set up a good culture for sure. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite thing to do on Thanksgiving?
We usually keep it pretty low key. I'm just, I'm going to go over to my parents' house tomorrow and there's family friends we do it with. He might have them over. I haven't really heard much about what the plan is, but it'll be good.
Low key. All right, that's Sean Highkin. You can read him at rosegardenreport.com. He provides the best local coverage of the Portland Trailblazers, rosegardenreport.com, and by supporting him, it allows him the ability to give you more in-depth analysis and better coverage at home, on the road, everything. So check out rosegardenreport.com. Chris Burkhart will join me next, and we'll find out his take on the game tonight and what's coming up on game day. We're live at Moda Center getting ready for the Trailblazers and Spurs here on Rip City Radio 620. All right, if I start screaming, Chris, I think I just broke my wrist. After Sean was done up here at Section 330, I got up. I had to pee like a racehorse. So I took off running down the concourse, and there's one of these stupid tables. It's like, it's in a position it shouldn't be in, but that's no excuse. I rammed my wrist right into the corner of it, and I almost went down to my knees in pain, but I had to pee so bad I kept going into the bathroom. I'm sitting there peeing, and I'm like, feeling my wrist. I'm like, you ever hit your arm or cut it and you don't want to look at it because like I think I just broke a bone?
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
It's tingling right now. This is not good.
That is not fun. Hey, sometimes
I can't even run down a freaking concourse with no one around without ramming my wrist into something.
It's this building. I think it's cursed. Yeah, one day I was down in the edit bay, down there in the broadcast room, and I jump into one of those tall chairs,
Yeah.
And me being all 5'8" on a good day, kind of slip as I'm getting in, catch my finger on the handle, completely bend my finger back. I ripped a ligament in my pinky. Had to be no surgery or anything, but I had to be like all bandaged up and all that stuff for a while to get the heal. Like, man, like this building, something in it.
That's very Trailblazer-like, considering all the injuries right now with the guys,
right,
man.
Right.
But I was so happy. I think that 2-1 road trip with Sissoko and Love playing extended minutes, you get a win at Golden State, Milwaukee. Like, that's awesome. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, this is interesting right now because there's people who are down on the team, but I think they're right where you kind of expect them to be, right around 500. Lost a couple games they probably should have won a couple games they probably should have lost. I actually think the game on that series that was the most impressive to me was the Milwaukee one, because without Giannis, that is a much different team, and I wanted to see if that team, injuries and all, would take advantage of it and lock them down, and I thought they did. So going 2-1 on that, taking their lumps, getting a little revenge served to them by OKC, I still think that's a good road trip.
Yeah, it was a terrific road trip. And tonight, you get the win and you move on to the knockout round of the NBA Cup with quarterfinal action coming up on December 9th or 10th. And Sean thinks it'll likely be a game at the Lakers, but it gives the young guys something to play for tonight.
Well, it gives them something to play for, and then also they were put into arguably the hardest group of that format, and if they come out of it, that's absolutely huge. And I said this a few times on game day, Chad, but when they first started the in-season tournament, I poo-pooed that thing. I was old man yells at clouds, get off my lawns, don't like change. But the more we get used to it, it is kind of nice to have these random little games that mean something, especially for some young guys.
No, it's been great. How about the games we got tomorrow for Thanksgiving, dude? Packers, Lions, and then the Chiefs and Cowboys. That's awesome.
I love Thanksgiving football. There's just something just so pure about watching the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving and then, hoping to, wash that down with a Dallas Cowboy loss. Like, it just feels good.
It does. No, I'm loving it, man. Those are two really good games, and the Cowboys coming off that ridiculous 24 unanswered points against Philadelphia. They got the win. The Chiefs bounced back after a couple of tough losses at Buffalo and Denver. They got the come-from-behind victory over the Colts. I love this time of year because the games mean more. There's a lot at stake, both in college and the NFL. And, dude, I haven't even counted up the Saturday games yet. All 6 college games on Friday within the top 25 playoff implications. All these morons that tried to tell us that the playoff was going to water down the regular season, lying their asses off again, man. It's been great.
First off, I was listening to you talking about that, and I'm glad you brought it up while I'm here because I'm with you, man. Back in the day, the whole if you lost one game, your season was over. Well, Oregon goes and loses to Indiana, and now you're sitting here going, this game against Washington has a ton of implications because you win and you're in. You lose and your odds go from 100% to like 60, which is what CBS Sports was saying out there. So you have all these games that still matter. You can take your lump at some point in the season and your season's not done. I think it's added intrigue to a lot of these games that otherwise wouldn't have it. I'm absolutely right there with you.
All right, so I just counted up the top 25 games between Friday and Saturday, 15 total games with implications. That's a beautiful thing.
Not only that, you get into like rivalry week, so it doesn't matter how good Oregon has looked. You get a game against Washington, you know it's going to be tough.
Why are they only a 6.5-point favorite at Washington?
I don't know. It's the I don't know, home field advantage. They love Huskies. I don't know.
I don't know. It's almost like that concerns me because I feel like Vegas is inviting you to take Oregon.
Yes.
Jump on the Ducks. It's only a touchdown. They're going to win by more than that.
Yeah, which is never good when Vegas is wanting you to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm asking you the question. It seems a little bit suspicious. But look at this. Like on Saturday, you're going to wake up in the morning, Ohio State at Michigan. Obviously, Ohio State's playing for seeding, but they have to play at Michigan, the team that continues to terrorize them. Texas Tech at West Virginia. Texas Tech needs to win to secure their spot in the Big 12 title game. The problem is they lost to Arizona State, so they don't want to be in a tiebreak situation with one conference loss because they would lose that tiebreak. You get Miami. They're still playing for a potential spot in the playoff. BYU needs to beat UCF to get into the Big 12 title game and secure their spot and have an opportunity in the playoff. Oregon and Washington. Oregon, with a win, is in. Do you think the Ducks are in the playoff if they lose to Washington?
It's gonna depend what else happens around them. Quite
like
honestly,
Vanderbilt and Tennessee.
I mean, yeah, you got that game. I mean,
LSU and Oklahoma.
Yeah, Miami. I mean, if they lose, things change too. I do think that if they win or if they lose, they're in. But you never want to leave that up to chance. Just win and be in 100%. I think your odds fall to about 50-50 with a lot of other stuff happening. You can still get in, but if you win, there's no doubt.
Gosh, it's so good. I love everything about it. And our boy Kalani Sitake still coaching his ass off at BYU.
Oh, yeah. I would love them to win handily because I want to see them in the playoff.
All right. Big thanks to Brendan Slaughter for multitasking, engineer, show guest, and pulling his best Michael Shacker impression by producing on site, which is great. Sean Highkin, Maggie Finn of the Trailblazers. I appreciate everyone. Happy Thanksgiving, my friends. Have a wonderful time with your families tomorrow. Chris Burkhart's got game day coming up next. What are you going to talk about?
Oh, we're going to talk about that road trip, how important this game is tonight, and what to expect for this Blazers over the next few games because they still got a tough road ahead.
All right, you guys enjoy the game tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you later. Show me your Blazer!